On the last day of the mission, Jack refused to give up and called Emily. The call was rejected 10 times before it was finally answered.
Jack, are you done yet? Are you a dog, clinging on like this?
There was laughter on the other end, like a nightclub, followed by a chorus of jeers.
Who's that clueless person on the phone? Today is such an important day for Henry's confession, and they dare to interrupt.
President Henry, Emily, give us a kiss.
President Henry is so generous. Thanks for booking the place tonight.
Jack frowned, feeling a sharp pain in his heart. His mouth was dry and bitter, but he forced himself to speak.
Emily, can you?
Get lost! Get lost! Get lost!
Remember to lock the door before bed, turn off the gas, and feed Milo on time.
Before he could finish, the call ended with a beep. Not just the call, but his existence as well.
Jack, you have 30 minutes left. If you fail to complete the mission, you will be erased.
Jack stood there in a daze, nodding woodenly, and started to tidy up the house. This was the home Emily and he had shared for 5 years. She loved shopping but hated cleaning, so he did all the tidying. He carefully organized the closet and then arranged her makeup scattered across the table.
Jack, you have 10 minutes left. Are you not going to try? Are you just going to let Henry win?
As long as Emily is happy.
Your smile looks worse than crying.
Finally, Jack checked the water, electricity, and gas, and took one last look at the home they had shared for 5 years. Their 3-year-old ragdoll cat, Milo, came over and rubbed against his leg.
Meow meow meow.
Jack crouched down to pet her and filled her bowl with imported cat food.
Milo, are you hungry? Daddy has to leave now. Take care of yourself and Mom.
The cat seemed to sense the atmosphere of his departure and kept rubbing against him. But Emily, who had lived with him for 5 years, was so cold-hearted. After everything was done, Jack turned off the lights, went downstairs, and lay down in a corner of the neighborhood's grassy area. The cold air pierced through his clothes, pricking his skin. The countdown began. Suddenly, his phone lit up.
Jack, you have 10 minutes. Come to the bar and pick me up.
Jack forced his aching body to type a few trembling words.
I'm in so much pain. I can't come. I won't be able to come anymore.
A reply came quickly.
Stop pretending. You're just like your late mom, playing the victim for sympathy.
Jack had no strength left to respond.
Where are you? If I see you, I'll slap you. Where are you? Go away.
Jack slowly closed his eyes, and the memories of the past 5 years flashed through his mind like a movie. Emily and I were college sweethearts, seen as a perfect match by all our teachers and classmates.
Jack is smart and excels in his studies. He's bound to achieve great things.
Emily is beautiful and helpful. The teachers have high hopes for you too.
Our relationship, witnessed by everyone, didn't follow the cliché of breaking up after graduation. Instead, we had planned to get married right after graduation, living a simple life with a cat, sharing meals, and growing old together.
Honey, I love you the most.
But just as we were about to get married, my stepbrother barged into our lives, causing a whirlwind of change.
Emily, I'm Henry. I run an import-export business in the capital. Money is not an issue for us.
Emily's eyes sparkled.
Here, let me put this on you.
Henry then pulled out a diamond necklace from his pocket, ready to put it on Emily.
She's my fiancée. Stay away from her.
It's just a token from my brother. Why are you rejecting it? Step aside.
Emily moved closer to Henry, and they started putting on the necklace, their actions intimate and flirtatious right in front of me. I was so furious I could vomit. I stormed out. Emily knew about my family situation. I had told her countless times how Henry and his mom had bullied me. Henry's mom was my dad's first love. My dad's family opposed their relationship, so they broke up. My dad and mom had a normal relationship and got married. Then Henry's mom came back, trying to be my dad's mistress, which drove my mom to despair. Henry and his mom took over our home, constantly abusing me. I grew up like an unwanted child, relying on the kindness of neighbors for food.
It's all in the past, honey. I'll take good care of you.
After losing my mom, I felt the warmth of family for the first time. But now? Why was Henry here to ruin my family? At that moment, the system activated.
You and Henry need to win over Emily within a year. Failure for either of you will result in elimination.
I laughed bitterly, thinking it was the biggest joke ever. Emily was my wife. Did I really need to win her over? I was sure I would win. But this was just the beginning of a nightmare. A mist surrounded me, and my spirit floated into the air. Seeing my lifeless body in the bushes, I couldn't help but tremble. At that moment, a BMW pulled up in my line of sight, and two people got out. It was Henry and Emily, the two despicable people, holding each other, laughing drunkenly. I floated closer to hear their conversation.
Jack has been such a disappointment this year. How did he turn into such a deceitful, scheming person?
Emily, I know Jack too well. He was just pretending before, hiding his true self.
He's so disgusting, tricking me into living together for 5 years. I'm furious.
Forget about him. You have me now.
My dear husband, my big brother, I'll break up with him as soon as I get back.
Good girl, baby, give me a kiss.
The two of them started whispering and kissing right in front of me. Henry's thick hand moved down Emily's neck, back, and waist, squeezing her buttocks. The sight made me want to vomit. I couldn't breathe, trembling with anger, and floated back home. The dark house looked the same as it did 10 minutes ago. But Milo seemed to sense something, meowing constantly in my direction. I was moved to tears, and the tears actually fell to the floor. What was happening? I was gone, yet my tears still existed. But what was the point? Milo saw the tears and excitedly circled the spot on the floor. At that moment, the door handle turned, and the door opened. Emily walked in alone.
Jack, get over here and take off my boots.
Narrator, tone, serious. She stood in the dark hallway, shouting. She loved wearing knee-high boots, which were extremely difficult to remove. I was always the one kneeling on the floor, helping her take them off.
Get me a glass of water, I'm dying of thirst.
Narrator, tone, serious. In the past, whenever she came home late, I would wait in the living room, constantly checking if the water I prepared for her had cooled. If it had, I would pour a fresh hot glass so she could have a warm drink the moment she got home.
Make sure my clothes are washed and dried tonight. I need to wear them tomorrow.
Narrator, tone, serious. The only response was the cold air and the occasional meow from the cat. Narrator, tone, serious. Emily banged on the hallway cabinet, creating a loud noise that scared Milo into hiding in his little nook.
Jack, I'm warning you.
Narrator, tone, serious. Emily got up and started searching the house. She checked the living room, found no one, then moved to the bedroom, her steps growing more frantic. She checked the bathroom, kitchen, balcony, and even opened the wardrobe. Narrator, tone, serious. Finally, she saw the note I left for her on the coffee table in the living room. Narrator, tone, serious, Emily, farewell forever. Narrator, tone, serious. She paused, her eyelashes trembling, then clenched her teeth in anger.
Haha, running away from home, are we? You can't even break up with dignity, Jack. You're just adorable.
Narrator, tone, serious. I watched Emily coldly from the side, observing her every move. Narrator, tone, serious. Emily started frantically calling my phone. I had nothing with me, I couldn't answer. I would never be able to answer again. Narrator, tone, serious. Hearing the continuous unreachable message, she threw the phone with a loud crash. Narrator, tone, serious. The shattered pieces of the phone scattered across the floor. Narrator, tone, serious. Her eyes fell on Milo, who was bristling with fear, and she gave a sinister smile.
Jack, if I harm Milo, will you show up then?
The tension in the air was palpable as the words echoed in the room.
Stop pretending. You're just like your late mom, always seeking sympathy.
I had no strength left to respond. The weight of her words bore down on me.
Where are you? If I see you, I'll...
Her voice trembled with rage as she uttered the threat.
Where are you? Go away!
I slowly closed my eyes, memories of the past 5 years flashing through my mind like a movie. Emily ran to the entrance and shouted.
Who are you? What do you want?
We're the police. Someone reported you for mistreating a cat. Open the door.
I breathed a sigh of relief. It was because of that video, now Milo could be saved. Emily opened the door for the police. Besides the 2 officers, there was a familiar-looking couple peeking in from behind.
They reported you for posting a video of cat mistreatment online. We're here to investigate.
Officer, that's right, it's her. She's the one in the video. She mistreated the cat.
You look pretty, but you do such awful things.
Mind your own business.
The couple tried to rush forward, but the police stopped them. At that moment, I recognized the couple from our neighborhood cat group. We had even bought cat food together during a sale.
I didn't do it. I was just trying to scare my boyfriend. He left me and the cat behind. I wanted him to come back.
No matter what happened between you two, mistreating animals is wrong. Where is the cat now?
Emily stumbled around the room looking for the cat and finally found it under the sofa.
The cat isn't hurt this time, so we're giving you a verbal warning. If you really harm the cat, we will take legal action.
Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Emily was too scared to be dismissive anymore.
I understand. I won't do it again.
At that moment, one of the police officers received a phone call.
What? A body was found at Jin's community? We'll be there right away.
What was meant to happen had finally come. Emily and the couple went downstairs. By then, a crowd had gathered around the bushes where I had been lying, gossiping amongst themselves.
Isn't that the cat's owner?
Emily saw my lifeless body and froze, unable to move, only muttering.
No, it can't be.
The police immediately cordoned off the scene. Emily was taken to the police station, and I hitched a ride along. During the ride, the coroner contacted the police, indicating that foul play was temporarily ruled out and it was suspected to be a heart attack. Emily was in a daze the entire way, completely shocked.
Emily, let's get you inside. Here, have some hot water.
Emily stared at the cup of hot water and suddenly started shouting.
Jack, stop joking around, come out.
Emily frantically searched the room, turning the orderly police station into chaos.
Jack, I want to drink the hot water you poured for me. Come out.
It took 3 officers to restrain Emily and pin her to the ground. Unable to move, Emily could only mutter softly.
Why?
The officers exchanged glances, and Officer Sarah took Emily to the hospital. After a sedative injection, Emily finally fell asleep on the hospital bed. I stared intently at Emily, who was sleeping like a baby, and shook my head. What do you really want? I've already left, leaving a space beside you. Didn't you choose Henry? Now that I'm gone, why are you still causing a scene? Oh. I get it. You don't want to lose a devoted follower, a servant, someone who cares for you and endlessly tolerates you. It doesn't matter if that person is me, Jack, or anyone else. At that moment, the part of my mind once occupied by Emily cleared up completely. Being overly devoted really doesn't end well. It's a pity I only understood this now. Officer Sarah answered a phone call at the door.
Everything's fine here. You can go ahead and interrogate Henry.
Henry, it's your turn. I floated back to the police station. The room was filled with tension as Henry sat across from the police officer, his posture relaxed but his demeanor indifferent. He seemed almost pleased with the current situation, knowing I had failed and the system had truly erased me.
We found that the last call Jack made before his passing was to you, and you didn't answer.
I didn't get the call.
The officer tapped the table, his eyes never leaving Henry's face.
Then how do you explain these text messages on your phone, where you told him to be ready for the end?
The officer threw a stack of papers on the table. They were the text messages between Henry and me from the past year. Henry's face turned pale, and sweat began to bead on his forehead.
These messages show you threatening Jack, sending intimate photos of you and Emily, and boasting about it. You even told him to find a place to disappear. How do you explain this?
Henry was momentarily speechless, his mind racing for an explanation. From a distance, I saw my dad and stepmother rushing over. My dad looked like he had aged 10 years in an instant.
Officer, is what you're saying true? My son.
Sir, please accept our condolences.
Henry, what are you doing here?
Mom,
He's here for questioning. The last call Jack made before his passing was to him, and he didn't answer. We now suspect that Henry's actions contributed to Jack's passing.
My dad clutched his chest, his hand trembling uncontrollably, pointing at Henry.
You wretch! You harmed my son! Give me back my son's life! My poor son. Dad is useless.
With a thud, my dad collapsed to the ground. Another one for emergency care. I watched the scenes unfolding before me, finding it utterly absurd. Belated familial love, cheaper than grass. Henry was detained by the police for 5 days for insulting others and inciting self-harm. When he got out, the internet was in an uproar.
Netizens, piecing together the police reports, started to unravel the events leading to my passing. They dug up videos of Emily mistreating animals on a video platform. They found posts of Henry and Emily secretly flaunting their relationship on social media while I was still alive. They even uncovered how Henry's mom, as a mistress, had tormented my mom and subjected me to domestic abuse.
They became the targets of public outrage, with everyone calling for justice.
These two deserve each other. They'll never find peace. Her boyfriend is so pitiful, bullied by his stepmother for years, only to be driven to despair by his stepbrother and girlfriend. Let's see if these two dare to show their faces in public again.
Emily, just out of the hospital, hid at home, too afraid to go out. She shredded her pair of long boots.
Jack, without you, I can't wear these boots anymore.
I watched her actions, laughing until tears came out. It was ridiculous. Who was she trying to impress with this act? She tried to hold Milo, but Milo, terrified, darted around the house, yelping in distress. She didn't dare order takeout, as people constantly banged on her door, cursing her. For the first time in days, she approached the fridge and saw the notes I had left a few days earlier.
The fridge is stocked with your favorite ice cream, but only one a day, okay? The food in the fridge is simple, just like I taught you to make. Emily, no matter what, you must eat on time.
Seeing my notes, Emily broke down, sliding to the floor in tears.
Jack, I was wrong. I lost my way. I initially just wanted to get some money from Henry so our lives wouldn't be so hard. Jack, I've only ever loved you. Why didn't you wait for me to come back?
I floated in front of her, squatting down, and for the first time, confidently said that word.
Spit.
She couldn't hear me, but the spit landed on her face. She froze, touching her face, unable to distinguish between tears and spit. Just then, the doorbell rang, and a voice came through.
Emily, open the door.
As soon as Henry was let in, he slapped Emily across the face, the sound crisp and clear.
It's all your fault. Now I've lost my job, and everyone outside is cursing me.
Henry, you dare hit me? You've never even raised your voice at me before.
Who do you think you are? If it weren't for the mission, I wouldn't have bothered with you.
What mission are you talking about?
Henry shook off Emily's hand and grabbed her by the neck, pushing her against the wall.
You troublemaker! Some system appeared out of nowhere, making Jack and me compete for you, and only one of us could succeed.
Henry tightened his grip, his nails digging into Emily's neck.
What do you mean?
You fool! I spent money on you, and it was so easy to succeed. Jack, that idiot, actually believed you wouldn't betray him. It's hilarious.
Seeing Emily's face turn redder and her eyes bloodshot, Henry let go. Emily collapsed to the ground, gasping for air, barely alive.
So, it's my fault Jack is gone?
Yes, it's you. You're the one responsible.
Emily started slapping herself, her face covered in red marks, then began banging her head against the wall. Thud! 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 Blood streamed down her face. Watching this scene, I felt no emotion, maybe even a bit of amusement.
Wait, before you go, sell the house and give me the money.
What?
Henry's eyes were cold and threatening.
I spent money chasing you. You think high-end cosmetics, diamond necklaces, and private parties come cheap? It's all from loan sharks. Give me the money now.
I was wrong. I was really wrong, Jack. Please come back.
I didn't want to see any more of this sudden realization and repentance. It was useless. I asked the system. I thought I was gone. How can I still be here for so long? Didn't you say a soul can only stay for 3 days before it dissipates?
I'm not sure either. Maybe it sensed your unwillingness and let you stay to see the end.
Henry spent a fortune pursuing Emily, and that money was from a high-interest loan. TSK.
You both have the same dad. Look at him and then look at you. So pathetic.
But did she forget? The house she lives in, the one under her name, who bought it?
Emily, the house you're living in was bought with the down payment I saved up after starting my business post-graduation. On the day I bought it, I only put your name on it. You're a girl. You need security if you're helping me start a business.
Jack looked at Emily with deep affection.
You're the best. I'm so lucky to have met you.
Back then, Emily was as happy as a child, hugging and kissing Jack, making the staff around them blush. Some even teased.
You two are such a model couple.
Of course, I chose him.
Looking back now, Jack realized Emily's help during their school days was probably just a one-time act of kindness to maintain her goddess image. His subsequent efforts to repay her far exceeded that initial favor, and he was blind to her materialistic nature. Emily was forced to list the house for sale by Henry, but it couldn't be sold. Netizens who sympathized with Jack kept a close eye on Emily and Henry's every move.
These shameless people are trying to sell someone else's house.
Where are the property management and the government? Can't they evict them?
When will karma catch up with these two?
Sure enough, the netizens' words came true. Despite Henry's attempts to hide and switch internet cafes, the debt collectors found him, cornering him in an alley behind a shady internet cafe. In the narrow, dirty alley, Henry was surrounded. Jack floated above, watching the debt collectors close in on him.
Please, give me a few more days to sell the house. I beg you.
Aren't you the one who drove your stepbrother to despair? You can't sell the house.
Boss, let's not waste words on this scum. Let's deal with him.
Henry was so scared he wet his pants, causing the group to laugh.
What a coward. Not a man at all. Let's break his legs first and see where he runs.
I can still call my mom. She'll give me money.
Fine, one last chance. Call her.
He made the call, but no one answered. He tried 5 times, still no answer. Henry cried in despair.
Get him. We're doing a good deed today.
Henry was beaten, and they weren't satisfied until they broke his fingers one by one.
I covered my eyes. It was too brutal.
But strangely, Jack felt a sense of satisfaction.
Henry, what goes around comes around. You didn't answer my call back then, and now your mom isn't answering yours.
In the end, Henry, who was taken to the hospital by a passerby, suffered severe injuries. His spleen was ruptured, 7 ribs were broken, and both his hand and leg were rendered useless. If only he had answered that call, perhaps things could have been different. I wanted to call him and tell him I was giving up on Emily, to persuade him to give up on her too. Maybe then neither of us would have faced such a fate. The system only said that the one who failed the mission would face the consequences. If neither of us succeeded, it wouldn't count as a failure, right? We both could have survived. The system had a flaw, it didn't have to end this way. Henry, you were spoiled from a young age, blindly arrogant, and it led to your downfall. I drifted to my dad's house. He sighed heavily, while my stepmother was in tears.
Our once happy home is gone.
Nearby netizens and streamers discovered my dad and stepmother's residence, barging in to film and vandalize everything. The entire household was left in shambles.
You old mistress, you raised a homewrecker who ruined my family. You deserve this. Give me back my wife. Give me back my son Jack. Give them back to me.
My dad is truly despicable, always blaming others for his mistakes.
You old fool, you're the one who drove your son to this. You neglected him for years, and now that he's gone, you want to play the grieving father.
Go on, stepmother, keep cursing him. Fight each other.
Do you not remember how you drove his mom to her end? And all these years, you never stopped your affairs. You.
The two began to expose each other's faults and fight in front of everyone. This scene was broadcasted live by the streamers who had broken in, sparking a wave of online outrage.
Old Cheng. So this is who you really are? His first wife was driven to her end by him?
Old Cheng, always so dignified on the outside. But this is what he's like behind closed doors.
Poor Jack, unloved by his father and stepmother. Now gone because of his stepbrother and girlfriend.
My dad, who always maintained a good image in public, had it completely shattered in that moment. He scanned the crowd, their faces filled with accusations and disgust, and finally collapsed, unable to catch his breath. I watched from the side, feeling increasingly cold-hearted since my passing. My emotions were fading, allowing me to view everything from an outsider's perspective. With the help of the police and some kind-hearted organizations, I was finally laid to rest. They thoughtfully chose a spot next to my mother's grave.
Mom, I can finally be with you.
I saw some dust on my mom's grave and tried to brush it off, but no matter how I waved, I couldn't touch it.
All right, I gave up.
Not far away, Emily was walking towards my grave, looking lost and dragging a barely conscious Henry. She suddenly knelt in front of my grave.
Jack, I was wrong. I didn't know this was a challenge.
Years ago, I prayed in a temple for wealth and prosperity, and in a dream, a vague figure asked me if I could accept the price of losing those around me for my own gain.
I was foolish and agreed.
But it was just a dream. How was I supposed to know it was real?
My tears fell, landing on Emily's eyelids, startling her. She raised her hand to touch my tears, scanning the empty surroundings.
Jack, is that you?
I regret it. I hurt him. Can you come back?
Emily began to cry, pounding her chest in agony. She looked disheveled, with dried blood on her head and dirt all over her body.
I mustered all my strength to touch her.
Her eyes widened, a strange light flashing in them.
Jack, it's really you. Please forgive me, please come back.
I looked at myself, my spirit becoming more and more transparent, yet brighter and brighter, blindingly white.
Emily, it's never going to happen. Our ill-fated relationship ends here.
Ignoring her pleas, I flew away, using all my strength because I felt I was about to disappear. I still needed to save Milo. I arrived at the grave, leaving Milo locked up at home. Emily didn't care about him at all. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't lift him or get him his cat food. Milo was getting thinner and more lethargic by the day.
But now, there was still a chance.
I rushed back home. When Milo saw me, he wasn't scared at all. Instead, he ran over and rubbed against me. I reached out to pet him.
Milo, I missed you so much.
Meow.
Milo, you can't stay here any longer, or you won't make it.
Meow, meow, meow.
Milo meowed as he ran to his bed, where he had dragged my pillow at some point. Tears welled up in my eyes. Milo was missing me in his own way. I picked up the pillow, then scooped up Milo, and floated out of the house.
I thought for a moment and went to the door of the couple who had reported Emily for mistreating Milo. I quietly placed the pillow and Milo at their doorstep.
I reluctantly petted Milo one last time, tears falling onto his face. Milo's eyes also filled with tears.
Milo, the people here are very kind. They'll take good care of you. Stay with them.
Meow.
Milo responded obediently. I rang the doorbell and quickly floated to the stairwell, hiding. I didn't want to scare them. In no time, Sophia and James opened the door. They were surprised to see Milo but soon showed expressions of affection.
They knelt down to pet Milo and gently said to the air, Jack, as your neighbors, rest assured we'll take good care of your cat.
Seeing them take Milo in, I felt relieved. The last thing on my list was done. My spirit quickly began to dissipate, and my consciousness gradually faded.
Mom, I finally see you.
She was neatly dressed, surrounded by a warm glow. She seemed to have been waiting for me on that bridge for a long time, looking a bit tired but smiling with open arms. I rushed over and hugged her tightly.
Mom! Are you still alive?
Jack, I've seen all the hardships you've endured in the human world. It breaks my heart.
Mom, it's all in the past. Now I can be with you. We'll never be apart again, right?
Yes, we'll never be apart again.
Being held by Mom felt so warm, and I felt like the happiest child in the world. As we walked, we passed several small rooms. These rooms were locked, with only a small window to see inside. The interiors were dark and damp, and the people inside looked like lifeless shells.
Mom, who are the people in these little rooms? Why do they look so miserable?
Don't be afraid, Jack. The people in these rooms did all sorts of bad things in the human world, so they are suffering now and will be confined here even after passing away.
That's great! That's great!
Mom smiled and led me past these small rooms. Sometimes she walked quickly, sometimes she slowed down, and occasionally she would stop at a particular room.
I see Dad. Why is he here?
He had no conscience in the human world, so here, his heart was eaten by 100 poisonous insects, leaving him hollow.
I stared inside, and my dad suddenly looked up, meeting my gaze before lowering his head in shame. We continued walking, and I saw my stepmother. She was suspended in the air, with an abyss beneath her feet.
She forced me to jump off a building in life, so now she's suspended here. Every so often, the rope loosens, and she falls, only to repeat the cycle endlessly.
Impressive.
Then, I saw my stepbrother. He was dressed in rags, crushed under a mountain of gold and silver treasures, struggling to breathe.
Mom, I know! This person was involved in improper financial dealings in life, so he's now crushed under this wealth.
Jack, you're so smart!
My heart trembled because I saw Emily. She was frantically writing "I'm sorry" on the walls of her room, over and over again, muttering, "I was wrong, I was wrong." Mom and I remained silent in unison. I had long since let go. Not only was belated affection worthless, but belated apologies couldn't make amends either.